Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And we have another Lorna Slater story, because it's almost one a day now, isn't it? Well, she has been accused of not understanding glass recycling by the industry. Well, that's not surprising. She understands very little. And so we will have a look at this story here. She's had a bit of a criticism here. She's not understanding what goes on. She has no concept of what she says, and she can't even address Parliament. She has to look down all the time, looking at notes and reading verbatim what people have said, because she can't get it into a little thick head. But we will have a look at this. But before we do, I do want to say that some reason YouTube is playing sort of a few games or something with my particular account, on my account. And the last few videos I've made, it keeps rejecting them. And I've been through them, and they're just, there's nothing there. There's nothing there, but they're being rejected. And so I've put the appeal in on everything, asked for a review. So you may see a video or two appear slightly out of order, and it'll be, you know, why is he saying this now? And it's simply because it goes through the review process, which can take a day or two. So if they do start hitting, they seem a bit out of order, that's why. Anyway, we'll get in and try and get this one up. I'll be very careful what I say, so that there's nothing in there that could be in any way critical or even off colour. So I'll be very careful what I say on this one and see if this one goes through. It'd be amazing. Anyway, here we go. Have a look at this story. So Lorna Slater does not understand glass recycling, says the industry in a damning criticism. The Le Green's co-leader repeated the false claims that 600 million glass bottles could litter Scotland's streets and was blasted by industry body British Glass. Now, there's not 600 million bottles laying around the streets today. Why would it suddenly appear? Would people just suddenly say, oh, because it's not on the bottle deposit scheme, rather than putting it in a bottle bank or in the bin or anything like I normally do, I'll just simply throw it onto the streets? Full of absolute windbaggery, this woman, isn't she? But she's reading from a prepared script, and as you can see in that picture, she can't even look at the people she's addressing. She can only read verbatim what some faceless policy wonk has written. Although it does look like she's about to pleasure something. The Scottish Government Circular Economy Minister has been blasted by the industry she is meant to represent, as the row over the shambolic deposit return scheme deepens. Lorna Slater gave another disastrous ministerial statement at Holyrood on Tuesday, where she threatened to completely upend the recycling initiative just because the UK government decided to intervene. You mean just because the UK government decided to save the Scottish drinks industry? Because you couldn't do your job, you couldn't give the impact statements, you couldn't present all the paperwork. Westminster offered a UK internal market exemption to the Scottish Government if they scrap the glass bottle aspect of the scheme, something which has caused nationalists to throw their toys out of the pram. I don't know why. This is something, you've been offered a bone here. You didn't have to have anything. You'd have moaned about that, but then you cannot moan about the rules when you've signed up to those rules. If you didn't like the rules, you shouldn't have signed. It's caused a massive argument surrounding the use of glass within the initiative, with both Ms Slater and Humza Yousaf claiming that 600 million glass bottles would litter Scotland's streets if this happened. And it is quite clearly a lie. I mean, they are quite clearly standing there and lying to people. It is utter falsehood. But this has been labelled a lie by some critics and by everyone who knows that Scotland isn't currently covered in 600 million bottles. As is the current volume of glass bottles being used every year, with the majority of this being recycled. And she makes these claims, they all make these claims, they've got nothing to back it up, because they don't know what they're talking about, because they're all buffoons. Miss Slater refused to back down on this claim at Holyrood, as she insisted that this is the number that would be collected in the scheme and would be littered otherwise. Oh, that's right, yeah, because people don't use the bottle recycling scheme. Oh dear, Lorna, you've been caught out by your own lies. And this has led to damning criticism from British Glass, who represent the glass industry, from creation to reusing it. They accused the Scottish Greens of co-leader of failing to understand the sector. I would have accused her of outright lies. Absolute lies. She knows that she's lying, and she's still lying. They released a statement which read, astonished by Lorna Slater's answers to Fergus Ewing and Murdo Fraser today. The 600 million glass bottles in scope are not subject to a remelt target, and even ZWS in 2017 said a report that the recycling rate of glass bottles was between 70 and 90%. Curbside collections can be improved in Scotland, and the powers contained in the forthcoming Circular Economy Bill and through the UK-wide EPR can achieve even higher glass recycling rates. Wales has already achieved this without including glass in a DRS. We don't think the Minister understands glass recycling and offer her again an opportunity to meet with us so we can help achieve a higher recycling rate, which is very much in industry's own interest. What they're effectively saying is this woman is too stupid, but we are willing to put our arm around her, bring her into the factory, show her what we do and explain to her in very simple terms how stupid she is, why she keeps getting wrong, why she needs to stop lying, and then show her what we actually do and say that we don't need glass in the DRS because 90% of the glass is already recycled. But, even she doesn't even get that. SNP rebel Fergus Ewing has urged Ms Slater to withdraw her false and disingenuous claim that the 600 million bottles will litter the street if the DRS fails. He said the population of this country is 5.5 million, so that would require every person, every man, woman and child personally to litter 109 bottles on our streets, beaches and parks a year. This obviously doesn't happen. But Ms Slater said 600 million glass bottles is the estimate of the number of glass bottles that are used in Scotland and are therefore included in the deposit return scheme. Yes, but just because they're included doesn't mean they're being littered if they're not included, you stupid, stupid person. British Glass's intervention was welcomed by a number of opposition critics who pointed out that it was not a good look for the government environmental minister to be accused of failing to understand her industry. She cannot understand anything. You've got to remember how very low IQ this woman is. We are talking cabbage level. We are talking a woman with a room temperature IQ who does not understand the simple reality of the world in which she unfortunately has to share with us. I think it would be better if perhaps she returned to Canada, although that would single-handedly, as an average, reduce Canada's IQ by about 5 or 6 points. Tory MSP Murdo Fraser wrote, "It's not surprising that the industry, which might know a little bit more about this subject, is tearing Lorna Slater to shreds." Fellow Conservative MSP Stephen Kerr added, "It's never a good look. The Scottish Government Minister for the Circular Economy doesn't understand glass recycling. It's the latest humiliation for the Scottish Government. Is this enough for Humza to sack Lorna Slater? For some reason, he seems incapable of firing her. If she was in any other business, any other industry, she would be down the road with a little sad cardboard box filled with gonks and bubble gum and whatever it is that she's got sitting on her desk, because it's for sure she hasn't got any reading material there, because I don't think she's even literate if she thinks that 600 million bottles would be laundered over the country simply because they're not in the DRS. What an immensely dim woman she truly is. Humza needs to fire her. Anyway, I'm coming up. What you've got now is a situation that even if Lorna Slater said something that was the best idea ever, I mean genuinely, truly a great, brilliant, super idea, people would instantly dismiss it because they just look at her now and realise that, the hamster's dead. The wheel is turning, but the hamster's dead. The lights are on, but there's nobody home. She's just not there. She could come up with a brilliant idea and people just dismiss it because it's Lorna Slater now. She's lost all credibility. She doesn't understand anything. She can't orate. She's got no personal charm. She's got no ability. And yet she's got this strangely fallen into power. Although people have stopped listening to her. This is the point now. People have actually stopped listening to her. I think it's time for her to seek employment elsewhere. I don't know. I'm sure that there's a building somewhere that needs a cleaner. If someone can spend a week or two showing her how a Hoover works, that kind of thing. I mean, that's kind of the level she's really at. She's not good enough for anything else. She is thick as two short planks, doesn't understand the glass industry, doesn't understand anything about recycling, and yet somehow she is supposed to be the wise one, the expert in this field. God help us all. Anyway, I shall round off there, except to say one thing. For God's sake, Humza, don't fire her. She's too much value. Anyway, if you like what you've seen here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and until next time, stay safe, stay well, recycle your bottles and don't listen to her, and goodbye.